I'm not indifferent to people suffering because I know it's hard to be everybody. We blacks, we just got our first big holiday in a long time. Happy belated Juneteenth to the blacks. Juneteenth is a strange holiday, isn't it? It commemorates when black people in Texarkana area of the country first found out they were free. But remember, they were free when they found out. They just didn't know it yet. Very, very interesting holiday. You know, I learned something. This is a wild story. I learned this past Juneteenth of a story that's true, and there was a black man who was in South Carolina during slavery who somehow got granted his freedom by his so-called master. And when his master granted him the freedom, he also gave him a plot of land. Now, it turns out this brother was brilliant. He had a good eye, a good knack for farming, and he farmed this plot of land very successfully and made a lot of money. And this is where the story gets crazy. When he got all that money, this nigga bought some slaves. Have you ever heard this before? This is a true story. Not only was he a slave owner, he became a slave breeder and employed tactics that were so cruel, even white slave owners were like, yo, my man. He was a wild dude, but he did it just because that's what successful people did at the time, and he just wanted to be down. What a fucking tragedy. How can a person that went through slavery perpetrate the same evil on a person that looks just like him? It's mind-blowing. And, shockingly, they're making a movie about him. Ironically, it's called Space Juice. Space Juice. The point of that story is this person was invested in a construct. That was the construct of successful people, and he just followed the roadmap of successful people. He followed what they call an incentive. Now, everyone struggles, but I'm very invested in the gender construct, personally, because I'm a man with kids and a wife, and I like that warm, wet, soft pussy that my wife has. This does not mean that I feel like another point of view can't exist. I was doing a nightclub in Oakland 16 years ago, and this is the first time that the trans community ever got mad at me that I knew about. And I was nobody. I just quit Chappelle's show. It was like a nothing, hole-in-the-wall club, and I was doing some transgender jokes in Oakland. It was 16 years ago. My pronoun game was not as nice as it is today. I went too far. I said things like tranny and shit. I didn't know these words were bad, and a woman stood up and just gave me the business. Started screaming at me, and I'm sure it was a woman, but she kept calling me transphobic and all this shit. I'd never even heard these words before. It's really weird. I didn't trip. I just gave security the look like, you know, get that bitch out of here. I kept it moving. And then she went to the press, and the next day, one of the gay papers wrote all the same things she had said to me about me in the paper. Misquoted the jokes and was calling me transphobic. And again, all these words, I'd never heard them before, but every time that I talked with anybody from that community since, they always repeat the talking points from that article. My least favorite of which being, and I hate this phrase, they say I was punching down on them. Punching down. The fuck does that mean? Now fast forward, it's 2019. I'm in a restaurant in Ohio, a very nice restaurant. It's Thanksgiving week. And to be honest, it's not a very nice restaurant, but it's a nice restaurant if you're a white person from Ohio that's never been anywhere before. Picture Chili's. I'm sitting in the bar, I'm having a drink by myself, and the only other person in the bar is a woman, a couple stools down, and she was alone, and she was older, and that made me feel sad because it was the holidays. So I told the bartender, send that woman a drink on me. She's trying to spread the cheer, and I wish I didn't. This woman wanted to talk. She wasn't mean, she was nice, but she just wanted to talk about shit that, the nigga that's trying to get drunk don't want to hear about this bitch remodeling her bathroom, and I'm sitting there trying to be polite. Oh, subway tiles, word. But then she hits a lick, piqued my interest. She says, my daughter is coming home for the holidays. Oh, that's great news. I'm glad you're not gonna be alone. And then she goes on and on about how great her daughter is. I guess her daughter got a new agent, and she's out in Hollywood, she's in movies and on television and all this stuff. And as she's telling me this, I'm thinking, this woman is so sweet. She probably doesn't even know who I am or what I do for a living. Because I know what your daughter's out in Hollywood doing. And then she goes, would you like to see her picture? Oh, now I don't want to see this woman's picture, but what am I going to do? I go, okay, yeah, sure, I'd love to see the picture. And I grab the picture, and this is all I say. Oh, she's very beautiful. And as she puts the picture away, she looks mean all of a sudden, like she caught me in some kind of trap. What does that face mean? And then she goes, she's transgender. And I think to myself, oh, this bitch does know who I am. I really resented that trap because that trap doesn't let me be honest. If I was honest, I wouldn't fall for it. I just looked at the picture like, ooh, look at that big chiseled jawline, that big thick Joe Rogan neck. Is that a dude? Is your daughter a man? Can't say that shit. It's really annoying. When I see a fellow dreamer, I give them my utmost respect. Even if I don't understand what their dream is. I know a dreamer when I see one. And I've met many powerful dreamers in my life. None more powerful than a man who calls himself Little Nas X. I met this nigga at a party. I had no idea who he was. But the minute he walked in that party, I knew I was in his dream. Everybody in the party was another dreamer. Everyone was famous, but when that nigga walked in, he was dressed like C-3PO. He was shining. And everyone was like, oh my God, there he is. This one, I was like, oh. I didn't know who he was. And for some reason, out of all them dreamers, he walked right up to me. And he said, I tried to get you in my video. I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. I said, what? I said, what? What video? And he just looked at me like, you know what video, and walked away. And I watched him walk away. I said, man, this nigga's having a very powerful dream. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when we was in grade school. Remember in grade school, the teacher would ask everybody what they want to be? Timmy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Timmy acted like he had an idea. He'd stand up, he'd say, I want to be a fireman. And the teacher would say, Timmy, that is a beautiful dream. But Timmy didn't mean it. Timmy said he wanted to be a fireman because deep down, Timmy's attracted to fire. And by the time he's 14 years old, this nigga's a full-blown pyromaniac, playing with kerosene and matches like a goddamn expert. And then one night he goes downtown with his buddies, fucking around with fire, and burns a warehouse down. And he doesn't know it, but there's 13 migrant workers from El Salvador, and they're in that motherfucker. They get trapped, and then they die in the fire. Isn't that a tragedy? It was an accident. He's only 14 years old, but he's black. So they try him as an adult. And Timmy ends up spending the rest of his life in jail. Dream deferred. Burp, burp. What about you, Billy? Billy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Billy stands up and he says, I want to be president of the United States. And the teacher says, oh my God, Billy, that is wonderful dream. And Billy means that shit. Billy does everything right. That motherfucker gets his grades up. He joins student government. He even does extracurricular activities like show choir just to make his resume look good. He's on track to be president, but junior year he wipes. When he's 16, he gets his girlfriend pregnant and has to drop out of high school to make ends meet. But lucky for him, the local Walmart's hiring. By the time he's 20 years old, this motherfucker makes assistant manager at Walmart. He's the youngest one in the district. He says, oh my God, if I can keep this up for 4 more years, I could be a manager. And if I can keep this up for 6 more years after that, I could even be a regional manager and have as many as 3 Walmarts under my control. And he's a big picture guy. He sees where this path is going, so he kills himself. Well, what about you? What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't want to say, because I don't want the other kids to laugh at me. Who cares if they laugh? Your dream is yours. Own your dream so they can come true. Say it loud and proud. What do you want to be when you grow up? Little Nas X? That nigga stood up in front of the whole class. I want to be the gayest nigga that ever lived. I want to do a music video and slide down a stripper pole all the way to the depths of hell and suck the devil's dick at 10 o'clock on BET while all the kids are awake and can see me. Shockingly, that was the only dream that worked out. That's why I'm here tonight in the city where I built the dreams that I live, because I wanted to tell you all that they came true. And I wanted to thank you all for making the man that I am today. Yes, I am living a very powerful dream. Every time I come to this city and I stand in front of you, I realize that, my God, man, this is not my dream at all. It's yours. And I am honored to be in it. Thank you very much, Washington, D.C. I'll see you next time. Most of my friends are from the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder and made it to the middle and the top. What to do? So we all had a long trip. I know you got to get your hustle. So happy. And I understand the game. Sometimes, yeah, and I love you strong. I love coming back. I've been back here many times, but not to celebrate me.
We're here for you. Always been here for you because you've always been here for us. And I love you strong, brother.
Richard Pryor was the first recipient of the Twain Prize. When I started SNL, he was the first person I asked to host. In the summer of 2016, with the election looming, there was another person who I was just as determined to have. I knew that for the November 12th show, after the election, it had to be Dave Chappelle.
Thank you.
I knew I needed someone to explain what had just happened. I had to have Dave for the same reason I had to have Richard. He's a truth teller and the funniest person working today. This was going to be a big moment for SNL and for him. I knew when the moment came, Dave would be ready for it.
But America's done it. We've actually elected an internet troll as our president. And the whites are furious. We've never seen anything like it. I haven't seen white people this mad since the OJ verdict. There's a split screen with white people on both sides. Ah! I'm not saying I'm enjoying it. I'm just saying I've never seen this before. I watched a white riot in Portland, Oregon on television the other night.
That Wednesday, the day after the election, we had our read-through for the show. The mood was pretty bleak. The people were feeling tense and very vulnerable. It was a mess. Dave sat down beside me, looked at everyone, and sensed the emotion in the room. He asked if he could read a quote by Toni Morrison. The quote read, "This is precisely the time when artists go to work. There's no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do languages. This is how civilizations heal." I knew then that we'd be okay. The show opened with Kate McKinnon singing Hallelujah as Hillary Clinton, and then out walked Dave. I had no idea what he was going to do. I'd like to think he did, but I'm not even sure about that. He was breathtaking. He was brilliant. It was a landmark show.
I'm wishing Donald Trump luck, and I'm gonna give him a chance, and we, the historically disenfranchised, demand that he give us one too. Thank you very much.
Your ability to speak your mind, regardless of how anybody feels about it, that fearlessness to entertain the way that you want to, has definitely pierced my life to the point where I played a werewolf choreographer last night. And I was very proud to do it. And I learned all of that from you. You know, I hold your first 2 seasons of the Chappelle Show up against any sketch comedy show, I would say, in history. It's just brilliant.
Good evening and welcome to the first and maybe only racial draft here in New York City.
And I'm excited to see who's going to be drafted by which race. And the blacks have actually won the first pick. Oh my.
Wow, that's the first lottery a black person's won in a long time, Billy.
Yes, and they'll probably still complain.
Man, fuck you.
Back delegation. Shoot Tiger Woods.
The richest and most dominant athlete in the world. Now he is officially black.
So long, fried rice. Hello, fried chicken. I love you, Dad!
I had no idea you had so many old white fans. But I feel like I died and went to Brooks Brothers, but I think honesty gets thrown around a lot. People talk about honesty in comedy, but a lot of great comedians don't always tell the truth. I mean, Rodney Dangerfield, I looked it up, was actually very well respected. He lied the whole time. When we talk about honesty, we talk about not being afraid to tell people the truth about how we feel, because that's the connection that comedians can have with people, and I think nobody does it better than you ever. And that's what we learn from, because we all know that we're a part of the joke. Dave makes it, he's willing to make fun of everybody, whether you're white or gay. End of list. He's...
Everybody loves me, and I love everybody. I got friends who are L's, I got friends who are B's, and I got friends who are G's. But the T's hate my fucking guts. And I don't blame them. It's not their fault, it's mine. I can't stop telling jokes about these things. I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop.
It's weird for me to even talk to you about comedy because you can tell everybody in this room everything there is to know about comedy, but there's one thing that you'll never know about comedy, and that's doing comedy with a Dave Chappelle to look up to. So I thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Word.
And I'm here to celebrate Mark Twain. To me, that's comedy. If you don't believe me that Mark Twain is hilarious, I would just like to read a brief passage from Huckleberry Finn.
Okay. All right. Tighten up.
Huck Finn turned to his friend Jim, or as we called him, you don't have to read the whole passage.
Are we gonna make love tonight? As friends.
Oh, you smell delicious. I love him so much. I'm like I'm very emotional person. You know this. I'm gonna cry for you.
I swear to God, I've never seen an art form purer than stand-up comedy. It puzzles me that people are confused if this is an art or not. Man, talking shit is an art. Talking shit is an art. Ain't that right, Mary? All the stand-up comics in the room, just want to remind you, I promise you, and I've always said it, we have the best genre. We don't have to know anything but what we know. And everything we know is valuable because of what we do with it. Stay true to yourself, fuck the game, the money will come. Most of you won't make it. I'm gonna be honest. I heard an interview with Patton Oswalt, famous comedian, started 1 week apart from me. Patton says in an interview with Terry Gross, you know how Terry goes, yes. Patton said to Terry Gross, he said, Terry, nobody does good their first time doing stand-up. And he stopped. I was driving in the car, listening to this interview, and he goes, okay, Dave Chappelle did good his first time doing stand-up. I smiled from ear to ear. Patton didn't tell Terry is the next 7 or 8 times were fucking terrible. But the first time was so motherfucking good. It'd be like the first time you had sex, and then the second time you were having sex, somebody hit you in the head with a sledgehammer. This is not nearly as good as the first time. But you know what? Maybe someone won't hit me in the head with the sledgehammer the 9th or 10th time.
I don't even necessarily believe in politics, but I think that trust in politics is something that the country desperately needs.
President Bush continues to make his case for an invasion of Iraq.
After carefully examining the region, me and my cabinet agree that that area is definitely ripe for regime change.
All right. That nigga tried to kill my father! Man, Lincoln is fucking up. Damn. Truman is fucking up. Man, Carter is fucking up.
George Washington is the worst of the worst. Yes, I said it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. Go get me a sandwich, nigger, or I'll kill you. Liberty, justice for all.
I watched Donald Trump in a press conference. I am going to bring back coal. Coal? I'm not even exaggerating. I have never in my life even seen a fucking lump of coal. If you're gonna have motherfuckers digging around in the dirt looking for shit, find me some truffles, nigga. That's what I'm about. This is a fucking election year. We gotta be serious. Every able-bodied African American must register for a legal firearm. That's the only way they'll change the law.
Although America is the greatest nation in the world, we still face many modern problems. Healthcare is in shambles. Medicaid doesn't work. Meanwhile, our neighbors in Canada have free healthcare for all their citizens. So what am I suggesting? Fake Canadian ID cards for all Americans. I'm Dave Chappelle, and I want to represent you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Oh, wow. Boy, that was exciting, wasn't it? Thank you, guys. Have a seat, feel comfortable, relax. I want to thank everyone in LA for a wonderful week. It's been great here. You know what? It's been 10 years since the last time I played Los Angeles, if you can imagine. I know, I've been gone for a very long time. And unbeknownst to you, it was a difficult 10 years. I'm not gonna take you through all the agony I've been through, but it was tough. Some of it you might have seen. I don't know if you ever saw on TMZ the big headline, Dave Chappelle, drunk on stage in Detroit. Well, if you saw it, I wasn't drunk. I had smoked some reefer with some rappers. Yeah. I don't know if you know anything about hanging out with rappers, but their weed is very strong. Stronger than what I was accustomed to. The article goes on to say I was booed off stage, which is also incorrect. I was booed. I did not leave. It was a long bump. It was a fucking nightmare. 2 puffs of weed, that's all it was. 2 puffs. I never had that happen. When I take 2 puffs of weed, I looked at the guy next to me, I was like, I'm gonna bomb, nigga, I can feel it. And that guy called my name, Dave Chappelle. Niggas was like, you know, normally when you do a comedy show, you guys don't know what it looks like up here, but niggas be looking up at you like. That's how the show started. Didn't take long for the faces to switch up, like, what the fuck? They started looking amongst themselves. So I knew I wasn't doing good. I don't remember what I was saying. It just took one person to break the ice. It's a black lady with a Ford Motor shirt on. She stood up suddenly. Fuck you, Dave Chappelle. I said, excuse me? She said, I worked all week for this shit, and this show sucks. And in a weird act of racial harmony, a conservative white guy stood up and backed her up. Yeah! The whole crowd band together and started chanting, we want our money back. We want our money back. I said, oh shit. I snapped out of it. Good people of Detroit, hear me now. You will never get your fucking money back. Fuck that. I said, I'm like Evel Knievel. I get paid for the attempt. I didn't promise this shit would be good. Boo, they said, fuck you. This went on for a long time. And then after the show, I felt so bad, I took half of the money from the show, thousands of dollars. I said, I'm gonna give this to charity. You know what I did? I bought $25,000 worth of bubble gum and drove around Detroit and handed it out to the homeless so they could chew it and still be hungry. I was very mad at Detroit that night. Because not only did I bomb, nigga, I had to go back to the very same room the next night and do it all over again. Fucking nightmare. That would be like if you were having sex with a woman and for some reason, this would never happen, but for some reason, she had a mouse trap in her pussy. They caught the trap. And then you gotta fuck her again tomorrow night. I'd still do it. I'd be careful of that stuff. The old mouse trap is a pussy trap, baby. Fool me once. wrong. Them motherfuckers back there like. And the next thing I knew, they were stuffing them in the back of the car, and I thought, you know, when anybody would think of a situation like that, oh my God, what is gonna happen to me? And the police walked up to the window. Mr. Chappelle, we had to arrest your friend. He refused to take our breathalyzer test. I said, that motherfucker. Not complying, that's odd. So, officer, what's gonna happen to me? Well, you're fine. We're just gonna have to ask you to step out of the car so we can impound the vehicle, and we'll arrange for you to have a ride home. I said, oh, well, nah, I would rather you just give me the keys. They said, Mr. Chappelle, your friend already told us he's your designated driver. We can't let you drive in this condition. I was like, no, nigga, I'm good. I'm good. And then suddenly the shit turned into Vegas. He was like, I'll let you blow for her. I said, excuse me? He said, if you blow on my breathalyzer. I said, oh, nigga, I thought you was trying to get your dick sucked. What's going on? If you blow in my breathalyzer and pass, I'll give you the keys to the car. I said, set him up, nigga, let's play. And I blew in that thing, and it made a noise. I said, uh-oh. And he looked at it and he said, oh, well, Mr. Chappelle, I guess you're free to go. I said, I am. I didn't know that thing didn't pick up weed. I drove home on the 30 miles an hour. Yeah, no, it all worked out. It all worked out. I'm one of the lucky ones. It doesn't work out that well for everybody. I saw that videotape of that lady that got beat up in LA in the traffic. You see that shit on rush hour traffic? They beat a black woman's ass. This woman didn't even do anything wrong. It's fucked up. It was so fucked up it didn't even go to court. The city of LA just gave that woman $1.5 million for her pain and suffering. That is not bad, considering that's the same amount of money that Marcos Maidana made to fight Floyd Mayweather the second time. And this woman obviously hasn't trained a day in her life. You can see it on the tape. She didn't come to fight. Her guards were low. She was taking a lot of shots.